Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Thursday. The weekend is very nearly here. Mikel Arteta will be speaking tomorrow ahead of Saturday's return to Premier League action for Arsenal away at Bournemouth, of course, on the South Coast. Mikel Arteta's press conference at 10 a.m. in the morning. We'll hear from the Arsenal manager for the first time in a while. Hopefully get some updates on the injury situation. Lots of question marks hanging over a fair few players. Try and clear some of that up this morning in today's show. Got more reaction from you guys in terms of what you want to see potentially in attack against Bournemouth if there are injuries to Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka, which leaves them sitting on the sidelines for the game. Got plenty other questions from you guys to get stuck into as well. Round up the Arsenal women, who had a very important win, of course, in the Champions League last night against Vålerenga, first game since Jonas Eidevald's departure from the club. Firstly, as well, before I get stuck into this, myself and James Benge are sitting down very, very soon, in fact, to record this week's Inside Arsenal Extra Time. I'm having to record it about midday today on Thursday, so it's going to be very, very soon from uploading this video. So you're probably, if you're one of the first people to watch this video, you're going to have a chance to get involved in extra time, but you're probably only going to have about half an hour or so, something like that, by the time I get this uploaded. So if you are one of the first people watching the video and you want to get involved in this week's Inside Arsenal Extra Time and ask us a question or leave your opinion, your comment, anything like that, get down into the comments and do it. Start it with extra time as always. But if it's gone midday UK time by the time you're watching this video, there is no point, because that's the time around 12 o'clock midday UK time we are going to be recording. So yeah, be quick if you want to get involved in this week's Inside Arsenal Extra Time. Right, let's start today's show, shall we? We'll talk about team news for Saturday's game. Like I said, we're going to be hearing from Mikel Arteta tomorrow at his press conference. I would suggest he's going to be in classic Mikel Arteta mood tomorrow, though, when it comes to injuries and team news. I can't see him giving too much away. Certainly when it comes to players like Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, I think he's going to want to keep Bournemouth guessing. And so he'll do his classic Arteta style, we'll make a late decision, that sort of thing. To be fair, I think that's actually going to be true, though. This time they will make a pretty late call. I mean, Gabriel Martinelli only arrived back from Brazil yesterday. I don't even know if he would have gone into London Colney yesterday. Maybe this morning will be the first time he's gone in to be assessed by the medical team, and they'll make a decision on him. The last training session will be tomorrow afternoon after the press conference. They'll have one training session then, and then they will head off to Bournemouth. I would suggest, from what I've heard, that Thomas Partey and Kai Havertz will be in the squad for that game. Obviously, I can't confirm it 100% right now, but the messages I'm getting are that those two are expected to be fit. Thomas Partey, of course, missed the international break with Ghana. He was suffering a bit with fatigue, but also with illness. From what I understand, there is a very good chance he will be in the squad, and he should be okay to make the game, which is a boost to Arsenal. Obviously, he's been in very good form. Certainly prior to the international break, he's really starting to hit his best form. And so you'd want him fit and available for that game on Saturday, and it looks like he should be. So that'll be a boost. And obviously, Kai Havertz, I mean, Arsenal will absolutely want him. If there's any doubt when it comes to Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, then you absolutely need Kai Havertz in this team. He pulled out of the games for Germany, of course, during the international break. But again, it looks like he should be fine and is expected to travel and be part of that squad on Saturday. Hopefully, we might get a bit of a boost from Mikel Arteta in terms of his comments on those two tomorrow. But I would suggest on the other two, Saka and Martinelli, he might just be a little bit more sort of circumspect. You know, Arteta, he likes to play these sort of games. He likes to keep everyone guessing. And those two would make such a difference in the starting 11, whether they're starting or not, that he'll probably want to leave Bournemouth guessing and just have a little bit of doubt in his mind. All I can sort of reiterate is what I've heard during the week is that Gabriel Martinelli, Arsenal were not overly concerned from the conversations they'd had with Martinelli and with the Brazilian medical staff, that they were happy and comfortable for him to stay in Brazil and come home as scheduled with Gabriel on that private jet alongside Paqueta and Pereira that returned home yesterday. They didn't rush him back to London to check him over. They were quite comfortable with him staying there. And so that's a positive side. And obviously we've got Lee Carsley's quotes to go on when it comes to Bukayo Saka. He didn't sound too concerned. And he said that he would have been close to making it for England in their midweek game. Well, not midweek, it was Sunday, wasn't it? Their Sunday game, but England just didn't want to take any risks. They didn't think it would be fair. So fingers crossed that we do get some good news when it comes to the injury front, but certainly the signs are that there should, it won't be the worst case scenario, should we say, when it comes to some players missing out on Saturday's game. Just a little bit of reaction from you guys in terms of what we were talking about yesterday and sort of starting 11. And if Martinelli and Saka were to miss out, Sterling on the left, Jesus on the right, Havertz up front, would that be an option? Wale says, I don't think it's time to ring wholesale changes. Bournemouth are a very good side and we are playing away if I'm not wrong. Play Saka if he's fit. Play Sterling for Martinelli if he's unfit, but keep Nwaneri on the bench. So Trossard and Havertz, who are both on hot form, keep the partnership. Jesus can also come off the bench. Ed says, we can't have both Sterling and Jesus starting. Two players out of form and low on confidence shouldn't be starting together. We saw their performance in the last game. And Elo Co, I think that is there. No. Sterling was not perfectly fine. This is in relation to what I said when I thought Sterling was, okay. I didn't think he was unbelievable or anything like that, but I didn't think he was dreadful in that game against Southampton. He created some decent opportunities, some decent openings. On another day, he might well have got something more out of that. But Eloco clearly disagrees, says, no, but Sterling was not perfectly fine. He kept falling over, making silly crosses, missing players with his passing, taking too many touches, running into blind alleys. It was just a mess. And Arteta surely had seen enough, which is why he made the changes straight after. Martinelli scores with just one touch. Honestly, I don't see Sterling getting better. Like you say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't agree with that. I mean, a lot of people have been saying that about Kai Havertz this time last year. I was one of them, particularly saying he couldn't really see signs of things improving. That changed when most of us had very much had egg on our faces after that, the way that Havertz has transformed himself at Arsenal in the last year. I'm not saying that Sterling's going to do that. And obviously Sterling's older than Kai Havertz and more set in his ways. But I don't think Sterling was as bad as what you say in that game anyway, to be honest. But obviously everyone has their right to their own opinion. But look, Sterling's going to be important for Arsenal this season. Absolutely going to be important for Arsenal this season. 100%. If Arsenal are going to achieve what they want to achieve this season, they're going to need their big players, their squad players to be involved. That's why we can't just wash your hands of Jesus. You can't wash your hands of Sterling. These players need to find some form and they need to get some minutes, need to have enough minutes to find that form because they're going to be big players for Arsenal. You can't rely on just 11 or 12. We've seen that before. You need other players to step up and to perform. And that's why, I think it's far too early to write off the likes of Sterling and Gabriel Jesus just yet. Right, just onto the Arsenal women. Obviously, a big game for them yesterday post Jonas Eidevall's departure. Needed a result on the back of the disappointing performance and result against Bayern Munich last time out in the Champions League. They got that. They got the win that they needed. 4-1. A couple of late goals, obviously, put the gloss on the scoreline a little bit. Maybe it was a bit closer than the scoreline suggested. 2 really good goals late on, I thought. Lovely moves from Arsenal. Russo's goal was really, really good. And the goal for the move for the third goal was absolutely exceptional as well. Lovely play. And it just kind of the weight off the shoulders a little bit with a result and a performance like that, given what's gone on the week they'd endured in terms of results against Everton, Bayern and Chelsea, then Jonas going, I'm sure they'd have been delighted just to get back out on the pitch and have the focus on the actual football rather than what's going on behind the scenes. And it was just a much needed result for everyone. Obviously, Arsenal now in the process of looking to appoint a new manager. They've got the game against West Ham this weekend, and then they've got the international break where you would think it's a perfect opportunity to potentially get someone in. But just in the meantime, it's just about getting some sort of form, getting some sort of confidence back. And hopefully yesterday's result will do them the world of good. Just moving on to Thomas Tuchel, who had his press conference yesterday, was unveiled as England's manager. Some interesting stuff from him. I thought it was a very good press conference from him. As I said in yesterday's show, I thought some of the reaction over here was just utterly, quite frankly, ridiculous and disgraceful. To be fair, the Daily Mail's back page yesterday, absolutely leading the way with that, just awful. So what some of the sort of discussion really that's been going on about the fact that he's German, I just don't understand it. And the Daily Mail said it was a dark day for England. It was just frankly ridiculous. I've got to say, I thought his press conference was good. I thought he handled it perfectly. Look, he's a very experienced operator. I have no doubt he's far more experienced when it comes to facing the press than Lee Carsley is, for example. And it's no surprise that he can put up a much better performance against the media than someone like Lee Carsley who's not really done that before and suddenly thrown into the sort of headlights of the England press pack. But I thought he was very, very good. Lots of you have been getting in touch talking about it. John says, I don't think Tuchel will win anything with England. He's done okay in his career, but he's still far from what I'd look for in an England manager. We all know how it's gone for him playing against us, and we know the things that he said after matches against us. None of it screams England manager to me. MHE87 says, I think Tuchel is a good choice for England. League results have not been impressive over his career, but his Champions League results are very impressive. I think understanding how to be successful in a tournament like the Champions League can bode well for his leadership of England in tournaments. Tuchel took PSG to their first and only Champions League final, won the Champions League with Chelsea, beating Madrid and City along the way, and were a few short minutes against Real Madrid from making a Champions League final last season with a very weak Bayern side. I don't think that Bayern side was as weak as everyone said it was, I have to admit. Also, though a foreign manager, his English is very good. He knows the Premier League and plays well. Harry Kane was a scoring machine by his standards under Tuchel. And Gunnar Lover says, Tuchel is a perfect manager for England. Tactics work for tournaments, what England could be playing in. Yeah, we'll wait and see. I mean, I've never been utterly convinced by Tuchel in terms of the very, very elite managers that a lot of people think he is sort of stands up against. I'm not sure, but I still think it's from the managers who are available, it's a good appointment for England. He's got pedigree, no doubt about that. He's better than what was out there English-wise, so I have no issue with England going and appointing him. Be interesting what it means for Ben White. Obviously, quite a few of you have been getting in touch and asking about that. It's too early for me to say on that. I'm sure Tuchel will be putting the feelers out to Ben White, whether he wants to come back now into this new look England setup. I don't think it's absolutely a foregone conclusion that White will say yes, just because Southgate and that coaching staff have gone. He'll have to think about it. It'll be interesting to see just how hard Tuchel presses for it. Obviously, Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice are going to be involved in that, in his England going forward. But it'll be interesting to see if Ben White does get involved as well. A few questions and comments before we wrap this one up today. Fazri, I think that is, says, Charles, what are your thoughts on us going for Isak for 85 million? Yeah, the talk about Isak's sort of in the headlines again. I think there's word or messages coming out of Newcastle that potentially he's stalling over contract talks. He wants to be the biggest earner, and they're not sure they can afford that, given they're about to give Anthony Gordon a big new contract, and he wants a release clause and all that sort of stuff. And at the moment, the contract talks aren't really going anywhere. So suddenly you've seen Arsenal mentioned again with Alexander Isak. Look, I've said my piece on Isak a long, long time ago. For me, he would be my ideal choice as a new forward for Arsenal. I'm not put off by the fact he's had a slow start to this season. I think if there is stuff going on with his contract, it doesn't overly surprise me that maybe his performances have dipped a little bit. I just think he's perfect for Arsenal. He can play on the left. He can play as a central striker. I think he's excellent finisher, Premier League ready. He's strong. He presses really well. I just think he's tailor-made for this Arsenal side. He is my absolute first pick for a forward if Arsenal are to sign him. So if he was available and 85 million was the price it would have takes to get him, 100% go for it. That would be my ideal choice when it comes to a new forward. One from Adam here says, regarding Saliba's contract talks, given there was no option to extend in the previous contract, presumably so Saliba can review his options towards the end of that contract. What do you think Arsenal can offer him to get him to renew? They can't offer the same guarantee of trophies, presumably wages, someone like Madrid can. Not saying he won't renew. I hope he does, of course, but what do you think it would take to keep him at Arsenal? I just think you need to, when it comes to these top players, you need to be able to match their ambition. You need to be able to say to them, look, yes, you've got chances to go elsewhere. Yes, these clubs are offering you big money elsewhere, but you don't need to do that. You're happy here, you're settled here, and you can win the biggest trophies here. And that's what this Arsenal team, the next part of this evolution has to be, to show this squad, who could easily walk into, most of the players could walk into pretty much any top club in the world right now. They need to be shown that they don't need to consider that because they can win it here. So Arsenal need to start winning trophies. That's what will keep the best players here for the longest period of time. So that's what will keep Saliba here at the end of the day. I think if you're going to be able to sort of swat off the advances of someone like Real Madrid, you need to be able to say to these players, you can win what you want to win here. And that's what I think Arsenal will need to do over the next couple of years regarding Saliba. John Z says, hello, Charles. Regarding the recent changes in fixture dates and kickoff times, does the club have any say in them? Yes, they're mainly done for broadcasters, but some of those changes don't seem very beneficial to us. So I was just wondering, no, they don't. Quite frankly, the broadcasters get to pick that, and that's why managers hate them. You look at, say, Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp was there, how much he hated 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. You know, if Liverpool had any say in them, there's no way they'd have had so many of them. But unfortunately, they don't. Broadcasters get the picks, and the clubs have to like it or lump it. And so, yeah, that's why you look at some of the season when Arsenal got 3 away games in the space of 6 days. It's just the way it works, unfortunately. And if you're a big club, then it works worse off for you because you get those TV slots more often than anyone else. Denler says, I think Arteta will have big decisions to make this summer. The likes of Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Tierney and Jesus are constantly injured or not hitting the heights of performance we've seen before. I like these players, but not being available or good enough to push the starting 11 will only hold us back, especially if we push for silverware on all fronts. I think Lewis Skelly is ready to take Zinchenko's position. For Tomiyasu and Jesus, I think we will need to go back into the market for replacements, as I don't see any youth team players ready to make the jump for their positions. Yeah, look, every summer, Arteta and Arsenal will have big decisions to make. They had some big decisions to make last summer. They took them. They had some big decisions to make the summer before that. They took them. And they will definitely have them this summer for those players that you have admitted they're 100%. Zinchenko, absolutely. Jesus, yep, you're right. I think if Arsenal do go out and sign a forward, which I think they will at the end of the season, then that is they're certainly going to have a decision made to Jesus. But will clubs be offering any sort of money for these players? That's another thing. It's not just Arsenal making a decision. You've got to have rival clubs or other clubs coming in and putting money on the table for Arsenal to have a decision to make. Will they do that with Tomiyasu with his injuries? Will they do that with Tierney for his injuries? That's what we'll have to wait and see. But all of those questions, all of those players you've listed, 100%. I imagine if some big offers come in or some tempting offers come in, then Arsenal would probably have to consider it. There's some untouchable players in this squad. We know who they are. The four of them that you've listed there, definitely not in the untouchables list, I would say. So Arsenal would have to have decisions to make on them. Right, that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you very much. Like I said, Inside Arsenal Extra Time, myself and James Benge will be coming a little bit later on today. You've only got until UK time, midday UK time, to get those questions in. So you're going to have to act very, very fast if you want to get involved in that show. Until then, everyone, have a fantastic day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.